Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So this is an impromptu video, right? Because there's been a little bit of hate directed at me recently, and I'd like to kind of go across it, about it, around it. I'd like to go over it, if you will. Right, so on my recent videos, you know, the ones where I pour my heart out about my homeless journey, you know, those ones, yeah. You know, this isn't about that, but it is about what one person in particular has been commenting on those videos. You may have seen these comments, but I would like to have a little look at them with you, if I may, because not only are they disrespectful to myself, you know, I mean, I don't really care about myself, right, in this situation. It's just some of the comments were like, really? Okay. You know, and I need to respond to them because why not? Now, I'll go over again. I have no issue with my mum, right? The things that she did back then, I no longer hold over her now. I'm just merely telling my story as it is. However, this person, I can't quite get my head around some of the comments. So, yeah, let's have a look through, shall we, and see what they've been saying, because I have some very, snazzy replies. So one of my very good subs, they replied, I really don't understand how any parent could treat their child in this way. I can't see that you've done anything majorly wrong. Anyway, you got yourself out of the situation and well done you, onwards and upwards. So that was a very nice comment. But this person who we're talking about today replied this, right? Because we are adults, that's why. I would always subsidise my child's rent if I had one. That's the first important point. Although not the most important point. I'm just pointing out that they are coming at all these points of view whilst they don't actually have a child themselves. It just paints a picture, right? Not everybody has to have a child. So, and if they were struggling, but our parents gave homeless shelter addresses and other things, living with mummy forever is extremely unhealthy and wrong. Everyone deserves a life of their own. They raised you, they are done. I can't tell you just how long I laughed when I read that. I'm sorry. I'm not offended at all, but what what I will say, right, here they're saying is that their parents, that person's parents, gave them homeless shelter addresses. Yeah, that's right. Should they need to. So basically, if they were out on their own, they were given a homeless shelter address, and that's a-okay. Excellent parenting, obviously. And nobody is saying that you need to live with your mum forever, right? Nobody's saying that, but there is a time and a way to integrate your child into adulthood, right? And that goes for everyone. I'm not talking specifically about myself, just anybody, even Isabel. You know, people are talking about Isabel needing to move on and move out and everything, but she's only 18. You know, she doesn't have to move out right now. She needs to be integrated into adulthood, though. That is very important. Now, everyone deserves a life of their own. Yes, they do. They raised you, they are done. That's very final, though. It's like saying, right, we've had this child and our job is to make them reach the age of 18, and then we have done our job and then they're on their own. That's very, very final. I would argue there that no, you have a child for life, right? Most people, I hope, would agree with that. If you have a child, just because they reach the age of 18, they no longer stop being your child. And if they need anything, you give them, you help them, you do things for them to enable them to exist, right? But yeah, they raised you, they are done. Excellent. Just yeah. I honestly, I did laugh a lot at that. I laughed. I still can't stop laughing. I actually find it funny. I do. And then she was replying here to another part of my story where I must be saying how my mum has this nice warm house and everything, right? So she said, why did she have a nice warm house? Didn't she work every single day to get that nice house, that nice warm house, and maintain it rather than say, I'm lazy, I don't feel like working? Well, yes, she did work very hard to get that house, to keep that house, and the person who took that house away from her actually ended up being my dad. That not being my fault, I'm sorry, I can't accept any blame for that one, but yeah, she did, she worked very hard, but again, it's that whole attitude that, yeah, your mum worked so hard for that house, it's her house. You know who also had that that same attitude to, it's my house, I'll do with it as I wish? Yeah, that's right, our good friend Ruby Frankie. We all know how she ended up, don't we?
You're invading my space. Those are my personal feelings. No. In this home, you don't get personal space, because this is my space, because I'm the parent. If you want your own personal space, you'll need to get your own space. This is mine. And as long as you're living in my home, it is my job to know everything about you. You don't get to sneak, you don't get to hide, you don't get to have secrets. Not in my house. Do you see how loving that is?
So, one of my other subs have said, amongst other things, how could they sleep at night, right? How could my mum sleep at night? And that incited this person to come back, and they said, they slept fine. They sleep fine. And smiled and laughed for years in front of me. But I was 17 and sibling 16, and she made it sound adventurous and great and not a kick out. Everyone should be out at the age of 18 when you are an adult. Adult is adult. They don't have to keep you one day. Oh, yes, oh my god. I'm sorry, but what? Right? If I may, right, this sounds again very much like this person who also said, at the age of 18, you're on your own.
My kids are not welcome to come live with me after they're 18. I am very straightforward about that.
Okay, so when you are an adult, you're an adult. An adult is an adult, and you're off. You're on your own, everybody. You're out on your ear at the age of 18. You can't stay one more day after 18. Why do children, why do parents have their children if their sole aim is just to bring them up and chuck them out at 18? It just feels very much like they just shouldn't bother, really, isn't it? It's like I'm not even quite sure what that is. It just feels very... It feels like they shouldn't have bothered. Protecting adult children cripples them. Stop your selfishness. They are adults. Birds shoved out the nest to fly, my mother used to say. I left at 17 and no one cared about depression, despair, issues, having to pay bills, jobs. I had to do it all. Parents who want to keep their children with them forever take away their children's lives, an opportunity to marry and have kids and a life of their own. You had your life, they are entitled to theirs. Wow. 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 it's the only thing I can say about that. So basically, if you protect your adult children, it cripples them, right? See, to this, I have a certain degree of yes, it can do, if you are keeping hold of them for years down the line, right? But 18 is literally on the cusp of being a child, right? In some cultures, 18 is still a child, right? So it is basically a child that is growing into adulthood. It's not you're an adult now, so off you go and find your own way, right? That's not how it works. Now, this person left at 17 and no one cared about depression, despair, issues and paying bills, etc. She had to do it all by herself. Now, it's painting a picture here of what she's going through and what her life went through in order to have this sort of attitude. That is quite concerning, right? I have never been married or had help from a man. Right, as I type this, I have had to care for myself through illness and strep throat for the last 8 days, plus years before that. Every sickness, I am alone with no one giving me a ride. No car since 2008, and for years before that, no car. Wow, okay, I get it, right? Not married, not got any kids, doesn't need any help from anybody, was kicked out of home at the age of 17, didn't have anybody looking out for her entire life, however old she is right now, right? Didn't ever have anybody, didn't need anybody. And for that reason, she thinks that everybody doesn't need anybody. You know, she doesn't have any empathy for people who do need help because she never had help. And that is quite clear from all her posts, that is the reason for all this, right? But the thing is that I'm telling my story because it's just a story, right? It's a true story, but it's just something that happened to me and I just felt like sharing it, right? I'm not sharing my story for any other reason. I'm not trying to throw hate on anybody. I'm not trying to say I was this amazingly hard done by person. I'm not saying that I was the best or the worst person in the world. I'm not saying anything. I'm just telling you a story which happened to me in the most transparent way that I know possible, right? I don't lie about these things. I tell the truth and just tell it as it is and how I felt about situations and what happened in situations. That's what I do. Hopefully, though, people's experiences, mine and other people's experiences, can be a lesson for other people going forward, like now, right? So, like, you can say, I didn't have to do this, I didn't have help for this, I got kicked out at home at this age, so other people should also get kicked out of home at this age. It's not the way it should be. You were hard done by. It doesn't mean to say that everybody has to be hard done by too, right? I'd like to think that my experiences can help other people and maybe give insight into how things are, Don't kick your kids out of home and make them homeless, right? Because being homeless isn't a good thing, right? It's not a good thing. It does not help them in the long run. It just messes them up and it makes them fucking freezing, right? Those things, right? So those are things that I can definitely put out there to maybe help other people who are thinking about kicking their kids out of home, right? And then she goes on to say, she can do whatever the hell she wants with her money. You all on here are living in fantasyland. Parents owe you nothing legally beyond the legal age of 18, or whatever the age is in your country. Parents are only in the wrong when they keep their adult children with them forever, denying them a life of their own for their own very selfish needs. I would have to say, isn't that possibly also very selfish if you have a child because of your own selfish needs, right? You don't think about how the child is going to grow up when they're older, because you have a child, because you want a child, right? Sometimes I think to myself, why did my mum have me in the first place, right? And not because she kicked me out. And again, I'm not thinking about that, but right now in my life, it's not all, you know, it's not all roses, you know, my life. So I think to myself, why was I ever born in the first place, right? So for that, I would say that's quite selfish, right? I do. I think that's a selfish thing that somebody have made me born into a life where I've had eternal unhappiness. So, you know, talk about toxic dysfunction. I know people who are gone dead because they depended too much on their parents as adults. You know what needs to happen, right? What needs to happen is your parents bring you up in the best way they possibly can. When you get to sort of the teen, young adulthood age, they need to integrate you into like a way so that when you do eventually leave home, you know how to live, and you know, and help you even after you just moved out, help you move in and help you do things so that you can learn how to be self-sufficient and things like that. But not just say, right, you're 18 now, legally I don't need to keep you, right? It says in the contract when we birthed you, right? It said, the contract said that you know, by 18th birthday, you gotta be out on your ear, right? Okay, so off you go. There's a homeless place down the street if you need it, right? But you know, just go and find somewhere. It's all right. I found somewhere when I was your age. It wasn't a big deal. Yeah. No, that's not how life works, is it? And then there was another thing that I said. I was talking about not having a job or finding it difficult to have a job. I think I mentioned something about I couldn't phone in to work to phone in sick or something like that, and I ended up leaving my job because of it. Something which I still find bizarre to this very day. Anyway, she's replied to this and said, you can't deride these others from big families for not working then, can you? Right? Because obviously, you know, I had trouble getting and keeping a job when I was like 20 or whatever age, 19, yeah, around, you know, like 20. How many years ago? Fuck knows. Anyway, all those years ago, right? Yeah. So I have no. I cannot call out families for not working. Not that I actually do. I don't call out any of these families. I don't call out Chris or Sarah for not working. I call them out for exploiting their kids who work for them. That's my whole MO, right? That's what I do. I don't say, Chris, you need to get a job. Well, actually, no. Maybe sometimes I do say that, I think. But I think maybe they're talking about the Sullivans as well. Ben, he isn't working. I'm just saying, like, you have like 12 kids, and you should have a plan in place to provide for them. I think that may be one thing that he needs to do. But if he hasn't got a plan in place, and he bred all of his kids, then, you know, he does have a certain responsibility to provide for them. Anyway, just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. And nowadays, you haven't had to phone in anywhere if you can't come to work. I'm not quite sure what's going on in this, to be honest. It says Amazon and many other companies don't have you do that. It's done online, as it always should have been. Yeah, but no. Back in 1998, I know it's hard to believe, back then they didn't have... Amazon wasn't even a thing, right? And they definitely didn't have online reporting to your job to tell them that you weren't going to come in to work. No, that wasn't a thing back then. I know it's very difficult to believe that times existed before Amazon, but yeah, it's true. And it is your responsibility to get counselling and do the very hard behavioural changes and thought process changes around work to keep a job long term. Or you have nothing of your own. So yeah, no, I disagree. I think long term, if I was out there in the big world on my own, then yes, it's down to me to do these things. But when you are being brought up into the world with your parents, then your parents bear some responsibility, not responsibility to make sure that you do these things, but to help you and have a shoulder to lean on and help you through these things and get you through these things, and you know, I know what I'm trying to say anyway. But yeah, that was basically it. It was some interesting points, I feel, some very interesting points, and I don't think she's winning these arguments too well. I just thought it was very interesting that she decided to basically bombard my comment section on what most people would just think, yeah, probably best to steer clear, even if I have a difference of opinion on this one, because it doesn't make you come across in any good way, really. But as I said, this isn't about me. I'm not trying to defend the things that have happened in my life particularly. I'm not annoyed or upset at this person coming in and saying these things about me or to me. I'm just curious what they're on about in general life, because I say the things that I do, not about me being homeless, but just in general about families who exploit their kids online. Because a lot of people say, why do you talk about kids online being exploited, right? And I'm like, well, if you can use the things that you've experienced in your life and try and make it better for other people so that they don't have to go through the same things, and so that they have a better life, you know. I don't like kids or vulnerable people being taken advantage of, so I try to stop that from happening. You know, if that's a bad thing in your eyes, then that's on you, really, I think. But anyway, yeah, I thought this was interesting, and something that you guys might have wanted to look at. Don't know why. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're not interested. I don't know. But yeah, it's if you have appreciated this, please give it a thumbs up. Comment all of your thoughts about it down below, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Until next time, take care of yourselves, and bye bye.